स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मामृतङ्गमय। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। Let us offer our salutations to Sri Ramakrishna, the embodiment of all religions, the Supreme God Incarnate. Let us pray to Him to lead us from the unreal to the real, to lead us from the darkness of ignorance to the light of knowledge, to lead us from death to immortality. We have been studying Gospel. Today's topic I have chosen, illuminating spiritual guidelines to mankind of this age. God is giving assurance that even in this age it should be possible to realize the truth. God takes the human form and lives the life of human being and sets a model for us how to pursue spiritual path. Sri Ramakrishna, the incarnation of the Supreme, has said that in Treta Yuga, Sri Ramachandra incarnated and upheld the Dharma. In Dwapar Yuga, the same Supreme Being incarnated as Lord Krishna, who gave the message of universal love, Bhagavad Gita, which contains the essence of all the Upanishads. So in this age, Kali Yuga, Sri Ramakrishna has come. The same Supreme Being who was Sri Ramachandra and who was Sri Krishna is now Sri Ramakrishna. To show the path how we should practice spirituality in daily life. So we find Sri Ramakrishna is a fountain of inspiration for all the spiritual seekers all over the world. Every time we read about Sri Ramakrishna, a new realization, a new meaning dawns upon us. He had a complete personality and had touched every aspect of human life. So Sri Ramakrishna has been described as Acharyanam Mahacharya, the great teacher of teachers. Sister Nivedita, the great disciple of Swami Vivekananda, she said, religion always in India precedes national awakening. Shankaracharya was the beginning of the wave which swept the country, culminating in Chaitanya in Bengal. Sikh gurus in Punjab, Shivaji in Maharashtra, and Ramanujan and Madhvacharya in the south. But Sri Ramakrishna represents a synthesis in one person of all these leaders. These are the words of Nivedita. And how it is exactly true. Master said to Surendra, to perform following the Guru's instructions such pious acts as worship, pilgrimage, and service to living beings is called Karma Yoga. So the importance of Karma Yoga has been well defined by Sri Ramakrishna in these words. Follow Guru's instructions, do pious acts, serve the human beings, serve the living beings. All these acts come under Karma Yoga. But that spiritual attitude must be well rooted in the mind. Then only it becomes yoga. That connection should be there. Without spiritual connection, whatever action you may do, it cannot be called yoga. Again Sri Ramakrishna says in another place, the devotees seated in the room looked at Sri Ramakrishna as he began to chant the sweet name of the Divine Mother. After the chanting, he began to pray. What was the need of prayer to a soul in constant communion with God? Did he not rather want to teach erring mortals how to pray? Addressing the Divine Mother, Sri Ramakrishna said, O Mother, I throw myself on thy mercy. I take shelter at thy hallowed feet. I do not want bodily comforts. I do not crave name and fame. I do not seek the 8 occult powers. Be gracious and grant that I may have pure love for thee, a love unsmitten by desire, untainted by any selfish ends, a love craved by the devotees for the sake of love alone. And grant me the favor, O Mother, that I may not be deluded by thy world bewitching Maya, that I may never be attached to the world, to lust and gold conjured up by thy inscrutable Maya. O Mother, there is no one but thee whom I may call my own. Mother, I do not know how to worship. I am without austerity. I have neither devotion nor knowledge. Be gracious, Mother, and out of thy infinite mercy, grant me love for thy lotus feet. How Sri Ramakrishna prays to the Divine Mother. He is showing us this is the way we should pray. This is the way we should pray to the Divine. One day, addressing Swami Vivekananda, Sri Ramakrishna said, they talk of mercy to the creatures. How audacious it is to think of showing mercy on the Jiva, who is no other than Shiva. One should regard every creature as God himself and proceed to serve it instead of doing out of mercy. This indeed was a revelation. After hearing this, Swami Vivekananda said, that he had heard a saying of unparalleled significance. I shall communicate it to the world, he added, and he gave his clarion call of divine worship through service of humanity as a veritable manifestation of God. It is not knowledge of the scriptures or theology that makes one spiritual. It is the experience within one's soul that makes one spiritual, and service of humanity is a means of attaining divine bliss. Sri Ramakrishna set an example of humble service. He, an Orthodox Brahmin, went to a pariah's house and asked permission to clean it. The pariah refused because he thought that he as well as the master would be exposed to reprisals. Therefore Sri Ramakrishna went in the night and wiped the floor of the pariah's house with his long hair when everybody was sleeping. Sri Ramakrishna prayed, "O Mother, make me a servant of the pariah." What a noble thought. In another place Sri Ramakrishna says to Surendra's brother, "You asked about caste distinctions. There is only one way to remove them, and that is by love of God. Lovers of God have no caste. Through this divine love, the untouchable becomes pure. The pariah no longer remains a pariah. Chaitanya embraced all, including the pariahs." These are all words of Sri Ramakrishna. How illuminating guidelines Sri Ramakrishna has given us to follow. Service originates from love and sympathy in the ordinary plane. But when one learns to look upon suffering humanity as only God in different forms, we find that consciousness of the divine in man is a motive of service. This type of service becomes a potent means of God realization. Thus, serving the sufferer becomes a joy. But this concept of God's presence in every living organism and of the service of beings for God realization cannot be stretched too far. It has to be chastened by discrimination. This is illustrated by an interesting anecdote said by Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna said to the doctor, "Once there was a holy man in a forest. He had taught his disciples that God was in everything and that therefore one should bow one's head in adoration before every object in the world. One day, one of the disciples went to the forest for collecting wood for the Homa. When he heard that a mad elephant was coming, the elephant driver was shouting to everybody to get away from the path of the elephant. But the disciple, seeing the elephant, prostrated before him and began to pray. The mad elephant hurled the disciple away with his trunk. He was badly injured. The Guru asked the disciple why he did not get out of the way of the mad elephant and save himself. The disciple said, "God dwells in every object. Therefore I thought the elephant to be God." Then the Guru said to him, "My son, it is true that God is in the elephant, but he is also in the driver. Therefore, when the driver was asking you to get out of the way, why did you not pay attention to him?" This shows that there is need for discrimination in the pursuit of God realization. One should not go to the extremes of violence and of absolute non-resistance. No extremity. A bhakta must protect himself from the evils in society. A man living in a society, in particular a citizen and father of a family, ought to pretend to resist evil in order to defend himself. But at the same time, one should be careful not to return evil for evil. This point is nicely illustrated in a beautiful story. One day, when a monk had gone out seeking food, he found that a landlord was beating a man severely. The monk interfered. The landlord got angry and beat the monk very severely. On hearing of this, his brother monks came and carried him to the monastery in an unconscious condition. After he came back a little to himself, one of the monks asked him while pouring milk in his mouth as to who was feeding him then. The beloved monk replied, "He who beat me is now pouring milk in my mouth." To Sri Ramakrishna, the absolute and the relative were both divine. The position of relative consciousness on the threshold enabled him to fuse the apparently contradictory schemes of the monastic life and the householder's life. As Swami Vivekananda used to say, Sri Ramakrishna was outwardly a layman, a householder, but inwardly a jnani. This is reflected in his attitude towards his relatives and devotees. His heart was so soft that he could not bear the sufferings of others. He used to say that a person who has attained siddhi becomes siddha, meaning fully cooked. In Bengali, this word is used, siddha, siddhi, and therefore very soft and tender at heart. There are a few incidents which show Sri Ramakrishna's love for suffering humanity. In 1868, when Sri Ramakrishna was on a pilgrimage with Madhur Babu to holy places such as Benares, Allahabad and Vrindavan, he made a halt at Devghar. At that time, the area was in grip of a famine. The Santal inhabitants of the place were going without food for days. Their bodies were reduced to skeletons. They were dying of starvation. Sri Ramakrishna could not bear the sight. He took his seat by the side of the unfortunate victims of the famine and wept bitterly with them as one of the sufferers. He was determined to fast with them unless they were fed. Therefore, Madhur Babu had to spend a lot of money on feeding and clothing the famine victims before he could continue his pilgrimage. An equally poignant incident occurred when one day Madhur Babu made the mistake of taking Sri Ramakrishna along with him to his lands where he went for the collection of dues. At that time, for 2 years, the crops had failed. This had brought misery to the people in the area. Sri Ramakrishna told Madhur Babu that his entire property was really owned by the Divine Mother and that he was only her steward. Therefore, he urged him to spend Mother's money for allaying the miseries of the tenants. Madhur Babu followed his advice and relieved the difficulties of the tenants. Sri Ramakrishna's realization of divinity had thrown open to him a new vista in which he saw the Divine Mother, his relatives, and in fact all the suffering humanity on the same plane and in the same phase of reality. Towards all these varied appearances of Vidya Maya, Sri Ramakrishna maintained the same attitude of unbounded love and devotion. In this respect, he differed widely from the traditional Gyanis who have little sympathy for the world of illusion. A Gyani would like to erase this world of illusion from his consciousness. Therefore, a Gyani may not support an illusion by addressing the sufferings of the creations of Maya. Sympathy for the sufferer may mean the acceptance of unreal and illusory appearances. This would naturally impede one's progress on the road of Advaita sadhana. Advaita says Supreme Brahman alone is real, everything else is unreal. The orthodox Vedantists therefore often shut their eyes to the sufferings of humanity. Sri Ramakrishna opened the eyes of Totapuri, a liberated soul of the traditional type, by helping him to know the Divine Mother. Similarly, he imparted a unique lesson to Swamiji. He made it clear to him that Jiva is no other than Shiva and that every creature is God himself in a particular garb. Sri Ramakrishna's attitude towards suffering humanity surpassed the outlook of bhaktas. Philosophers accept the world with all its contents either as a creation or as a projection of God. They are therefore pained to see the misery of the world. But they only talk of showering mercy on the sufferers. Sri Chaitanya, the great prophet of Bhakti Yoga, preached kindness to all. But Sri Ramakrishna's approach was entirely different. He could not content himself with the attitude of mercy. The idea of mercy can never fit in with Sri Ramakrishna's vision of a deified universe. His stand is a unique revelation and an altogether new approach to God realization. The concept of Sri Ramakrishna's philosophy goes beyond the traditional realm of jnana and bhakti. Instructed by his master, Swamiji introduced to the world a novel method of divine worship through service to humanity. He stressed one's own liberation and the happiness and welfare of the world. In the pursuit of God realization, according to Sri Ramakrishna, one need not renounce the world. One should do one's duty. A person with a family has to bring up the family and pray to God that he may be able to lead a spiritual life with self-control. Sri Ramakrishna has in this context told an interesting parable about a farmer who could find time to repeat God's name only twice a day. One day, Narad thought that he was the most pious person. The Lord asked him to go and see a farmer who was more pious than him. He went. The farmer took the name of Hari when he got up and when he went to bed. The rest of the day he worked in the fields. Narada did not understand how such a person could be more pious than he. Therefore the Lord told him to take a cup of oil filled to the brim and carry it around the town without spilling a drop. Narada obeyed. When he came back without spilling a drop of oil, the Lord asked, "How many times did you think of me?" Narada said, "Lord, how could I think of you? My mind was concentrated on the cup of oil." Thus the Lord made Narada understand how great was the devotion of the farmer who with all his work did not forget to call upon the Lord twice. Sri Ramakrishna's idea of service as worship of God differs essentially from the prevailing concepts of charity and humanitarianism. From the objective point of view, it may resemble both. All these three actually consist of acts of service for the redress of human sufferings. In this respect, these cannot be distinguished. Therefore, one is likely to confuse Sri Ramakrishna's worship of God through service of suffering man with the acts of kindness prescribed by several faiths. But in most of them, the acts of kindness merely mean a phase of right conduct for the spiritual aspirant. But Sri Ramakrishna has presented an entirely new outlook. He has stressed service of humanity with the subjective attitude of worshipping divinity as a program of a new form of spiritual practice that can independently lead an aspirant to God realization. Surely, this is an innovation and a new sadhana. Sri Ramakrishna's realization of the divinity of man was the basis of his message to the world. Sri Ramakrishna actually suggested this method of worship to one of his devotees, the daughter of Manilal Malik, a Brahma gentleman who was devoted to Ramakrishna. The lady used to be distracted during hours of meditation by strange thoughts. When she told this to Sri Ramakrishna asked her, who was her pet? She told him it was her brother's child whom she loved most. Sri Ramakrishna advised her to love the child as intensely as she could and added that she was to look upon him not merely as her nephew but as Gopala Krishna. She followed this advice and her mind soared to new spiritual heights. Sri Ramakrishna has shown that God cannot be realized through mere rituals but only through love and sincerity. In Sri Ramakrishna's voice we hear the echo of ancient prophets, and in his life we discover a new meaning of the scriptures. As an avatar, Sri Ramakrishna is Dharma personified. As an Acharya, he is a prophet and preacher of it. For the presentation of the Vedic Dharma, he has set in motion a movement through the monastic disciples. A complementary movement has also been set in motion by his lay disciples. Through these two channels, Ramakrishna Math and Ramakrishna Mission, Sri Ramakrishna plays his role as the path shower of the Dharma to mankind of this age. It is pointless to question whether the teachings of Sri Ramakrishna are relevant today. What Sri Ramakrishna said is ultimate truth, and his teachings will be eternally relevant. But the important thing is how much we have imbibed from the life of Sri Ramakrishna as individuals and as a nation. It is time for us to do some self-analysis, self-introspection. Actually today, Sri Ramakrishna's teachings are more relevant than ever before, because never before in history was there so much selfishness. Did Swamiji not declare, to be selfish is immoral and to be unselfish is moral? We have reached the lowest levels. Avatars come only once in a while. The world cannot afford the luxury of having avatars frequently, but their teachings remain with men to elevate them, and their lives are an eternal source of inspiration. Sri Ramakrishna taught us practical Vedanta. Therefore, his teachings alone can lift us from the present morass and impasse. Swami Vivekananda organized the various service activities of the Ramakrishna Mission. Today, the Ramakrishna Mission is a premier religious organization in the country, disseminating, illuminating spiritual guidelines of Sri Ramakrishna to mankind. So, it's our great service to the humanity to spread, to make the people know these spiritual ideas given by Sri Ramakrishna. The more we do, the more we are coming towards God. And it is the greatest service that we can do to the humanity, spreading these spiritual ideas of Sri Ramakrishna, so that people can understand them, assimilate them, practice them, and bring peace and joy not only to them but also to the whole world. So, this is the greatest contribution, illuminating spiritual guidelines to mankind of this age, have been profusely given by Sri Ramakrishna. In the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, we find all these spiritual ideas spread out. In every page, illuminating guidelines are given. Only we must open our eyes, open our mind, and read them and practice them. Then we really enjoy. We will have the glimpse of the divine bliss in this life. Sri Ramakrishna said to a devotee, page 804, will you kindly fetch Purna? Narendra arrived. Sri Ramakrishna asked a devotee to give him some refreshments. He was greatly pleased at the sight of Narendra. When he fed Narendra, he felt that he was feeding Narayana himself. He stroked Narendra's body affectionately. Gopal Ma entered the room. She was a great devotee of Gopala and was blessed with many lofty spiritual visions. Sri Ramakrishna had asked Balram to send a man to bring her from Kamarhati. As soon as she entered the room, she said, I am shedding tears of joy. With these words, she bowed before the master, touching the ground with her forehead. Master said, what is this? You address me as Gopala and still you salute me Now go into the inner apartments and cook some curry for me. Put some spicy seasoning in it so that I may get the smell from here. All laughed. Gopalma said, what will they, meaning the members of the household, think of me? Before she left the room, she said to Narendra in a very fervent voice, my child, have I reached the goal or have I farther to go? It was the day of the car festival, so there was some delay in the worship of the family deity. When the worship was finished, Sri Ramakrishna was asked to have his meal. He went to the inner apartments. The women devotees were anxious to see him. Sri Ramakrishna had many women devotees, but he did not talk much about them to his man devotees. He would warn the men against visiting women devotees. He would say, don't overdo it, otherwise you will slip. To some of his men devotees he would say, don't go near a woman even if she rolls on the ground with devotion. The master wanted the men to live apart from women devotees. Only thus would the two groups make progress. He did not like the women devotees to caress the men as Gopala, for too much of this motherly affection was not good. It degenerated in time into a harmful relationship. After his midday meal, Sri Ramakrishna sat in the drawing room with the devotees. It was 1 o'clock. A devotee brought Purna from his home. With great joy the master exclaimed to him, here he is, Purna has come. Narendra, the younger Narayan, Haripada and other devotees were talking with the master. The younger Narayan said, sir, have we any free will? Master said, just try to find out who this I is. While you are searching for I, he comes out. I am the machine and he is the operator. You have heard of all a mechanical toy that goes into a store with a letter in its hand. You are like that toy. God alone is the doer. Do your duties in the world as if you were the doer, but knowing all the time that God alone is the doer and you are the instrument. As long as the upadhi exists, there is ignorance. I am a scholar, I am a jnani, I am wealthy, I am honorable, I am the master, father and teacher. All these ideas are begotten of ignorance. I am the machine and you are the operator. That is knowledge. In the state of knowledge, all upadhis are destroyed. When the log is burnt up entirely, there is no more sound, no heat either. Everything cools down. Peace, peace, peace. To Narendra, Sri Ramakrishna said, sing a little. Narendra said, I must go home. I have many things to do. Master said, yes, yes, my child. Why should you listen to us? The words of those who have gold in their ears are valuable. No one listens to him who has not even a rag round his waist. All laugh. You frequent the garden house of the Guhas. I always hear about it. Whenever I ask, where is Narendra today? I am told, oh, he has gone to the Guhas. I should not have said all these things, but you have wrung them out of me. Narendra kept quiet a few moments. Then he said, there are no instructions, there are no instruments to accompany me. Shall I just sing? Master said, my child, this is all we have. Please sing if it suits you. You must know how Balram arranges things. Let us stop here. Any question? So we are constructing universal temple to spread this, eliminating spiritual guidelines to mankind. That is the powerhouse, we should say. All the divine ideas should spread out to the whole world. That's our conception of universal temple. Any question? Chant the name of the Lord and His glory unceasingly, that the mirror of the heart may be wiped clean and quench that mighty forest fire, worldly lust raging furiously within. Own name streamed down in moonlight on the lotus heart, opening its cup to knowledge of thyself, O self drowned deep in the waves of his bliss, tasting his nectar at every step, bathing in his name that bath for weary souls. Various are thy names, O Lord, in each and every name thy power resides. No times are set, no rites are needful for chanting of thy name. So vast is thy mercy. How huge then is my wretchedness, who find in this empty life and heart no devotion to thy name. O my mind, be humbler than a blade of grass. Be patient and forbearing like a tree. Take no honor to thyself, give honor to all. Chant unceasingly the name of the Lord. O Lord and soul of the universe, mine is no prayer for wealth or retinue, the playthings of lust or the toys of fame. As many times as I may be reborn, grant me, O Lord, a steadfast love for thee. A drowning man in this world's fearful ocean is thy servant, O sweet one. In thy mercy, consider him as dust beneath thy feet. Oh, how I long for the day when an instant separation from thee, O Lord, will be as 1,000 years, when my heart burns away with its desire, and the world without thee is a heartless void. Prostrate at thy feet let me be in unwavering devotion, neither imploring the embrace of thine arms, nor bewailing the withdrawal of thy presence, though it tears my soul asunder. O thou who stillest the hearts of thy devotees, do with me what thou wilt, for thou art my heart's beloved, thou and thou alone. O Lord, lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness to light, and lead us from death to immortality. May all be free from dangers. May all realize what is good. May all be actuated by noble thoughts. May all rejoice everywhere. May all be happy. May all be free from disease. May all realize what is good. May none be subject to misery. May the wicked become virtuous. May the virtuous attain tranquility. May the tranquil be free from bonds. May the freed make others free. May good betide all people. May the sovereign righteously rule the earth. May all beings ever attain what is good. May the worlds be prosperous and happy. May the clouds pour rain in time. May the earth be blessed with crops. May all countries be freed from calamity. May holy men live without fear. May the Lord, the destroyer of sins, the presiding deity of all sacred works, be satisfied. For he being pleased, the whole universe becomes pleased. He being satisfied, the whole universe feels satisfied.